Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Hello, everyone. We are back. We are back today for the Festival of Storytellers. And you are here with yours truly, Ebony Wallace, the author of Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. So we have our running banner at the bottom with all the information that you need. Welcome to week 2 with me here in my author's booth. So I really appreciate that with you guys. This is how the book looks, Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. And we've been taking certain excerpts from the book and expounding upon them as we travel through this Festival of Storytellers. So today's topic is, I want to talk with us about the power of connection and what's growing within you, okay? The power of connection and what's growing within you. So my question would be, what's growing within the garden of your heart? Where are you? What's growing within you? Where you are determines what grows in you. Who you are determines who sees you and determines the favor that comes to you. When you're with the right people, the best comes out of you and the worst parts of you begin to diminish. So a lot of times in life, we hear statements like, birds of a feather flock together, or when I'm around this person, they seem to be bringing out the better parts of me. So this is for us to be intentionally aware of where we are, to locate ourselves, to see what's growing within us. You know, are we frustrated? Are we anxious? Are we angry? Or, you know, are we flourishing? Do we feel ourselves coming back? Do we feel our strength again? What's growing within us? What charges are we getting from certain environments and certain people? And being mindful of that. Knowing what's growing within our hearts, because our hearts determine our words. There are certain climates that help things to grow and flourish. Okay, so flowers grow in certain climates. Each flower needs a different type of climate. Okay, these are strengths. Okay, so some flowers are annual, some are perennials, some flowers need full sun, some flowers need shade. And if you disrupt the laws of flourishing for those flowers, they won't produce like they were meant to produce. Good morning, Cassandra. Great for you to have you with us today in our author's booth. So when we talk about these climates that help flowers grow, I want you to think about the flowers of the garden that is in your heart. What are certain climates and atmospheres that help you to flourish? You know, where you feel free, where you feel like you're able to be safe. Where are these places, and have you even thought about locating them and pinpointed them? Who are these people who feel safe, who allow you to be free? who allow your ideas to be free, who allow you to show up as the person that God has called you to be. Okay, so let's talk about these climates that have flowers to grow. These environments empower you to grow expansively. These environments have adequate water, sunlight, nutrients that promote growth. These environments are fertile. So when you get to a place that's fertile for you, all the components that make you you, you will begin to grow. You will notice that they have everything you need to water your garden so that the flowers within your heart are able to bloom. You are able to know, I just feel good when I'm around this place or when I'm around these people. I feel like I'm getting better. I feel like I'm tapping into my better self. Now, if there are places and gardens and environments and people and atmospheres that causes us to be our best self, then conversely, there is something that is the same. I want us to locate and to really think about, where are the environments that help our weaknesses or the weeds grow in our life? Okay, so these are the environments that while we're there, they stagnate us. They slowly imprison us. They allow us to exist, but they also allow us to be yoked to weeds. So we're growing, but we're not growing expansively. We're growing, but we're not growing amongst other flowers, that we're growing amongst weeds. And we know weeds eventually choke out the flower. They choke out the flowers. Weeds eventually take the nutrients and the things in the soil that the flowers need to bloom, and they use them for their weedy self. So what I'm saying is, I want you to try to think about, man, are there some spaces in my life that are like making me smaller, that are imprisoning me, that are causing me to be stagnant? That, yeah, I'm growing, but I'm not growing at a great rate. You may be amongst the weeds. In this particular atmosphere, the terrain lacks the water that promotes the terrain lacks water, and it promotes weed growth. Okay, so have you ever seen some yards where the yard is beautiful and you get to the side of the yard and there's a patch of lily weeds that have one rampant? And one thing about anybody that knows about, a yard, as soon as you get a weed, you want to try to start digging them up, because the thing about weeds is they spread very quickly. So what you want to do is pinpoint those things that are spreading, okay? Because it's easier. Some people will say, I won't pull them up. I'll just let the weeds grow. They're green like the grass, but they're also choking out the nutrients in the soil. So we don't want to allow things to grow in our life because they're not affecting us now and they haven't fully taken over now. We want to address things while they're small. We want to address this garden of our heart. And when we see weeds, we have the strength to confront it while it's in its infancy stage, so that when it does not have the ability to grow up and overtake what we've been trying to produce. We want to address weeds while they're in their infancy stage, so that it doesn't grow up and choke out that thing that we're trying to produce. What can weeds be in our life? Okay, so we have this metaphor that I'm using about the garden of our heart, and we're talking about there are climates that help flowers grow, and there are climates that help weeds grow or weaknesses grow. So these weeds can be anything like guilt, shame, old patterns, how things used to be done, the way we do things around here, condemnation, your past, your regrets, enemies, and even jealousy can be weeds. Hey, Mac. Thank you for your input. It is crucial that we know which people are beneficial for us. Absolutely, Mac. But I would like to add not only what people are beneficial for us, but what environments. Because an environment can zap you or charge you just as quickly as a person. Have you ever went somewhere and your body reacted soon as you got in the parking lot? You didn't even want to get out the car because you know that environment is going to zap you. And have you ever went somewhere you were so excited that you almost closed the keys up in the car because you're trying to run out of the car? Environments and people have the ability to bring us up and bring us down. Right. They can bring more out of our shells and those that bring. Yes, Anna Sandoval, I totally agree. Because a lot of time we think it's just people. I would like to add that there are some places that I go that are not good for Ebony. Because as soon as I get in there, I feel a negative charge. I feel a charge in the place that is not good for me. And conversely, I go in some places and I feel alive. I feel creative. I feel free. Christine just asked, how do you recognize which people are weeds in your life? How do we recognize what people are weeds in our lives? We look at the characteristics of weeds. These are the people that when you come around them, they look green just like you look green. They're growing in the same place. They're usually close, but they eventually begin to choke out the things that make you you, or the things that you want to grow and do. They're usually in a place of almost a frenemy space, okay? Because think about weeds. Weeds are right in the garden with flowers. They're not something that are far off. So when we talk about weeds, you have to be discerning, or you have to be careful to know that, okay, well, is this a flower or is this a weed? How am I feeling when I'm around this? Am I growing? Am I learning, or am I slipping into a place of gossip with them? Or am I talking about ideas? Am I talking about the next level? When I'm around this person, do they make me come alive? When I'm around this person, do I feel safe enough to share my secrets, and do they have problems to my solutions? Those are flowers. But a person that may be a weed may be someone who is prepping and priming you to gain secrets so that they can use them against you, okay? A person that may be a weed may be someone who has their hand on your plate, okay? And they're taking things off your plate, but you never see reciprocity. Okay, so that could be another identifier of a weed in your life. You don't see reciprocity. You're constantly pouring in water. You're pouring in light. You're pouring in, so you're showing up to everything they have. You're calling them in the middle of the night. You're answering the phone. You're jumping around. You're supportive. You're doing all of these things for this friendship, and you're wondering why it always feels one-sided. That person could very well be a weed in your life, because they are taking more than they are giving on a consistent basis. You always know when you're in spaces of reciprocity, because even when you give, you don't feel like you've given out. Okay, I want you to hear me on this. Even when you give, you don't feel like you've given out. You don't feel burnt out. You don't feel depleted, because there is an exchange that's going on in that space that is causing you and them to both grow. Okay? Things feeling stuck, things feeling stagnant, things feeling choked out, things feeling like you're imprisoned, things feeling like, some people say, I feel just so tight. I feel like my body is clenching up. Those are all signals from your nervous system letting you know that something is going wrong. When you don't address the weeds in your life, past, regret, all of these things, they can contaminate your whole garden. You have to examine and locate yourself. So some questions you can ask yourself are, where are you? Inspect the environment. Where am I at this point in my life? What cycles am I repeating? What cycles have I been repeating? What things am I developing at this stage? And what could be some root causes? So in research, we have the but why. All right. So we have the 5 whys. So we want to figure out with the 5 whys, why is this occurring? Okay. So if the symptom that is showing up is people are constantly leaving my life, but why? I'm not having really meaningful relationships, but why? And as you continue that process of but why about 5 or 6 times, you'll start to get to the root cause. And when you get to the root cause, you can start to dig up those weeds. But this is a space of courageous action, because you have to be able to look at yourself and say, but why? And if there's something that I am contributing to this, then allow me to take the initiative to fix it. What's growing within the gardens of your heart? Flowers? Do people feel safe around you? Do they feel alive around you? Or Are they feeling like, I don't ever want to talk to them again? I don't ever want to have dinner with them again. They're running for the hills. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you saying? Okay. What are you watering the soil of your heart with? What are you watering the soil of your heart with? When we think about a garden, we can even see trees, and we know that trees bear fruit, right? And when we see trees that are bearing fruit, sometimes the fruit fall down naturally to the ground. Sometimes we're plucking them off the tree if there's a choice fruit that we would like. Um, and I live in Florida, and so we have big mango trees. And sometimes when the mangoes fall down, I'll grab a mango, and it'll be this beautiful mango. Great to see you again too, Victoria. And it'll be this beautiful mango that I grab, and when I take it in the house and I begin to examine it further, I'll find that it has a bruised spot on it, right? And it's a huge mango, it has a bruised spot. I don't throw it away, right? I don't throw away the fruit from my garden because it has a bruise. I simply cut around it and I eat the rest. I don't throw things out because of a bruise. I want you guys to hear that. I don't throw things out because of a bruise. I want you to think about this garden and this bruised fruit as a bad experience, okay? So just because the mango had a bruise because it fell down out of the tree doesn't mean that it's not nourishing, it's not sweet, it's not a great mango. It just has a bruise. So what I'm going to do as the person who is consuming it is just cut around it. I'm going to eat the rest. I'm still going to enjoy it. So as for my life, just because I've had a bad experience doesn't mean I have a bad life. I take it, I examine it, I cut around it, extract it if I need to, and I continue to eat the fruit. I continue to enjoy this life. Okay? So in our life overall, life is really great. You got breath in your body. You have some use of your legs, your feet, your mobility. And so just because you get a bruised spot, please understand that that bruise can be turned into something that is a vessel of honor, that is useful. So we have a comment here from Joanne Barber. What advice can you give to those who get easily influenced by other people's energies? I think these are extreme empaths who end up storing others' energies as their own. Great question. So Joanne, there's a chapter in my book that I talk about breaking agreements and watching your agreement. So what happens is we don't realize, just like we talked the other day about how we have power in our words, and like the more our words frame our worlds and the more words we speak, it crafts what comes around us and what comes to us. The same with people who get influenced by others because they come into agreement with them. So what I mean by that is you want to watch your agreement, watch what you agree to. So in the country, they have this saying that says, eat the chicken, but spit out the bones. Come on, Joanne, this one's going to help you. They say, eat the chicken, but spit out the bones. That means you can be sitting in a lecture. You can be sitting with friends. You can be sitting with somebody giving you their problems. You can be sitting with someone and they can be giving you 5 tips that are excellent, that are workable. But tip 6, 7, and 8, they're coming with something that is a bone, something that is obtuse, something that is antithesis to what is going to make your flowers grow. So in those cases, you keep what is good, and those things that are bad, cut around it. Okay, cut around it. So if you're a person who is constantly collecting what other people feel, you're going to have to put up those boundaries and watch your agreement with them. So you have to allow them to feel some things on their own, allow them to break through some things on their own, while you can still encourage them, because most people who are empaths, they love to encourage, they love to be there, but you have to do that from afar without taking it on. And the way that you take it on is placing specific boundaries, is limiting your time with them, Okay, because some empaths, they can pick it up over the phone, some it's person to person. Know how much you're taking on with those energies, and when you feel like you're storing it, just begin to say, I release anything that has attached itself to me that does not belong to me. Begin to speak that and begin to shift your thought pattern, because you have to understand that their problems aren't yours. Okay, because you don't get a reward or a victory for storing their problems. Their problems are not mine. I understand that you're going through a bad situation, but I have a life in a garden that I must water on my own. So you have to be intentional about putting those things up. Okay, Beverly just said, a bad day doesn't mean a bad life. We can restart after experiencing the worst days. Yes, honey, it is powerful to learn how to cope through these days. Yes, you can restart. So last week, one of our Author Boost sessions was restart, realign. Okay, so we were talking about how do we reset. And we talked about control, alt, and delete. You guys can go pick that up from one of the former sessions. But coping through the worst times of your life, absolutely, that's what makes you a survivor. We also talked about last week how you have the voice of the enemy on one side and the voice of the warrior. The voice of the warrior reminds you of all the victories that you've overcome. So Beverly, what I would say to you is, how do you cope through these days? Learning how to cope through these days, I want you to remember that every bad day of your life, if you're still living, you got through it. I'm going to say that one more time. Every bad day of your life, that day you were crawling on the floor and you thought you would die, that day your chest sunk, that day when you couldn't feel your breath, that day when you cried so much that tears refused to fall again, that day when you got a phone call and it wrecked your whole week, that bad day, that bad experience, you survived it. So how do you cope through these days? You got to know that everything that has come to kill me, I have risen above it. I am a survivor. If I am still here in 2024, I have survived my worst days. So if I survive my worst days, then honey, I am here to experience the good ones. I have sowed too many seeds of goodness. I have been too kind. I have given so much to allow darkness to tell me that it's never going to turn around, that bad times are here forever. Overall, your life is a good life. You may have bruises, but we cut around it, we rise above it. How do we do that? Because we understand that no bad day was ever able to take us out. No bad day was ever able to stop us. No bad day could ever outweigh our good days when we count them in totality, because we're still here. And there's a power when you overcome the things that you thought could kill you. There's a power that comes when you overcome the things that you thought would break you. I have been in situations where things came in my life to literally break me, Okay. Shane Page says, can you share a personal experience about the concept of waiting on the Lord? Waiting upon the Lord has renewed your strength during a challenging moment. Absolutely. Shane Page wants to know a personal experience of the concept. Waiting upon the Lord shall renew your strength during a challenging moment. Okay. So when I say waiting upon the Lord means that I'm not always charging God with all the things that I need, and God, do this. I need you to do this. Almost treating the supreme God as if he's some type of genie. But what it does is I understand that the Lord has heard me, and because I understand that as I pray and as I sit in meditation, I understand that he has heard me. Now I can wait. The reason why I can wait upon the Lord is because I understand that the Lord sees about those who seek him out. Okay? You can't understand the Lord. The Lord is revealed. How is he revealed? He's revealed as you seek him. So the more you seek, the more you'll get revelation. So as I wait upon the Lord, he renews my strength. So there were, so a few months back in 2023, in August, I broke my leg. So that was an experience that was totally off the chain, because August is back to school. There's a lot of events. I have a lot of speaking engagements, and I had so many things to get done. And so I'm sitting here, and it was raining. I fall in the rain. My leg gets broken. I'm like, what in the world is going on? This is putting a stop in my schedule. And so as I go to the doctor, they check it out. They let me know that it's broken. They fit me for a boot. I get put in a boot. And when that happens, oh my gosh, I realized that God was giving me a reset. So I was relearning how to walk on the crutches. I was waiting upon the Lord because I was waiting on this healing. I was waiting on my body to heal. I was waiting in the natural for something that I knew was eventually going to happen. Okay. Mark Wise says, my problem is, how do I set boundaries without appearing impolite? Because you can be firm and not rude, Mark. You can be firm and not rude. Right. So I'm very firm with people, and they understand that, but I'm not rude. Okay. So you can let people know, guys, I don't have the emotional space to have this conversation today. I'm not at my best. So if we could talk about something else, or if you could give me time, and I'll give you guys a call back when I'm ready. So if you know that your battery is getting below 25%, don't engage in it. So you set boundaries by being firm, but not rude. So I can be firm by letting people using I words. Okay. I need more time. I'm not at 100%. So use those I words and you won't sound impolite. It's usually rude and impolite when you point at you. You keep coming around here. Oh, I got to do all this stuff. Like, don't use those words. I have so much on my plate, Mark. This is something you could say. I have so much on my plate, and I don't have the time within me to take on another assignment. There's so many things I need to clear up for myself. And as you begin to feel your strength back, then you'll be able to do so. Chris Smith, what message do you want readers to take away from your devotional regarding choice between flying and walking in their life's journey? So one of the things that I say about flying and walking in the life journey is, God gave you legs and wings, okay? And the ticket to this is you have permission to use them both. You have legs, you have wings. For the birds out there, they got wings on their back and they also have legs. God gave them both. And so because he gave you both, you walk or you fly when you need to, but you don't give up. Many times I have found that when people are high functioning Christians, when they're not able to produce, when they get laid off from a job, when things are not going at the level of winning, that they are constantly fully flying, then they feel that they're worthless. They feel like they're not contributing. They begin to slide into this depression, not realizing that just because you may not be making a volume of 20 sales per week, you're still making a volume of 10. So that may look like flying versus walking. You have permission to do both because progress is progress. And I think sometimes we are in a culture that tells us we have to keep beating the last goal and beating the last this and beating the last that because we're climbing the mountain. But there are beautiful lessons learned in the valley. So what do I want people to get out of this? Is there are lessons on the mountain when you're flying and you're soaring high, but there are lessons in the valley, invaluable lessons, because there are so many people get in the valley and don't know what to do. They're ready to end their life because they came in the valley not realizing that the valley is temporary. Okay. All right, guys. So we're winding down. We're coming to the end of our author's booth. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to grab your copy of Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. You can check out what you need to check out below in my author's booth. I invite you to the Festival of Storytellers. Go ahead and sign up and register today. It is free, the largest virtual festival that we have out there, and you can meet me back here next time. Ebony Wallace, the author of Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. I hope you connect, and I hope the flowers of your garden grow while you pull up the weeds through boundaries. Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.